What's up, guys? So I decided to make this video before I got into switching some things around with my MMP. I'm actually putting everything on this one onto this one, but then I realized since I have some downtime, this would be a great opportunity to say thank you to you guys for helping me reach 30K. I am honestly just blessed that there are this many people that want to hear what I have to say and want to have discussions with me in the comment section below. I'm a huge advocate for everybody, having something valuable to say. And, some comments are a little, not so friendly, but at the same time, it's a really good thing when you can have a lot of people from different experiences, different backgrounds, put in their 2 cents on a topic in this niche. I'm really honored that there are 30,000 people that want to hear what I have to say. And because of that, if you follow me on Instagram or you're watching some of my posts here on YouTube, I give you guys the opportunity to ask me some questions. So I'm gonna go through all those questions, and yeah, we'll just take it one question at a time. And hopefully I can give you guys honest feedback. I haven't seen any of these questions yet. I don't have any pre-planned answers or anything like that. I felt like this video needs to be more genuine, and I just give you my answers as I think of them. Before we get too far in this video, I'd like to say thank you to our channel sponsor, Obsidian Tactics. Obsidian Tactics is an online retailer that offers a curated selection of high quality and high value products that have been vetted throughout the two-way community. A lot of the items they offer are well-known brands that you may already be looking to purchase. So go visit Obsidian Tactics for all your two-way needs and wants. All right, back to the video. With EDC, what is your opinion on carrying in hospitals, churches, and colleges? I carry anywhere that I'm legally allowed to. To make that clear, sometimes there are certain places that have signs saying no guns allowed, but legally you're allowed to carry there. I'm not going to get into the details of that. When that situation happens, I still carry. From my understanding, you're allowed to carry in these places, but if they find out you are carrying and ask you to leave, you can't argue with them. You do have to leave. So other than federal buildings and schools, I'm sure there's some other ones out there. But for me, just in my area, federal buildings and schools, I can't carry there, but everywhere else you're allowed to carry. I always carry at my church. I feel like that's almost necessary to carry at a church given what has been happening in the world. So I feel like I'm more responsible to carry at my church. And then colleges, it depends on the college. So the college that I went to Kennesaw State. A little after I enrolled there, they made it so you could carry on campus. So I don't know if that's still a rule there. I don't know if they're still pushing that, but when I was there, was it the last year I was there? The last 2 years, they made it legal that you can carry on campus. Now, I think there was a weird thing in there where it was you can carry on campus, you just can't carry into a classroom, something like that. So you could have it when you're walking from building to building, but then you can't bring it into a classroom. So it kind of defeats the purpose of you carrying. I forgot the rule, but that was how I operated with college. Would you buy the Smith & Wesson Spec Series V? I've looked at them and they look very interesting. I'm going to be honest. I am really bad at trying new things. And it's not because I think plain guns are better. Like, I fully intend on porting one of these guns. I'm going to Gucci out one of my MMPs. Like, I'm going to do some crazy stuff to it. I'm just really bad at trying new things, and I'm trying to get better at that. So this year, I've definitely been reaching out to more people and trying to get my hands on platforms that I'm not used to so that I could fully understand them. So the Smith & Wesson Spec Series V, as of right now, I wouldn't buy it just because I don't have the money to buy it, but I would be down to try it. Can you talk about your workout routine and how you have set goals? Yeah, so my workout routine has kind of been curated over the years. I've tried many workout routines, but now I keep it very simple and I keep it pretty much the same. I know a lot of people that are really into fitness, they change their workouts every week. I do the same workouts every single week, and I just make sure I push myself. Monday is a push day, so I do chest and then I do triceps, and then I'll walk for a mile or two. Tuesday is going to be cardio. Right now, I'm really enjoying running outside. The park that's near me is super hilly, so it really pushes me to try to get really good mile times that are comparable to running on a track. So I run 3 to 4 miles on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, it's going to be a pull day, so it's back and shoulders and biceps. I don't know if shoulders is really a pull. I think that might be a push muscle, but I still do it on that day. And then again, I'll either do Stairmaster or I'll walk for a mile or two. And then on Thursday, I'll either do another long cardio day, which is 3 to 4 miles, or I'll just do 30 minutes of like doing sprints and body workouts at the park. And then Friday is legs. And then I try to take Saturday and Sunday off. Sunday is kind of like is my Sabbath, so I don't want to work out on Sundays. But on Saturdays, if I have the time and if my girlfriend isn't doing anything, we'll go to the gym together. But it's very rare that I work out on Saturdays like I used to. I used to do it every Saturday, and I used to work out 6 days a week. And then my goals are just really just to stay in shape. I'm not pushing myself like I used to. Before I wanted to be like this as strong as I could be. But right now, because of the running gun and some other things I've experienced in life, just being super strong doesn't really do anything for me personally. I want to be more functional, so I want to be more flexible, which I'm trying to get better at stretching and getting better at my flexibility. And then I also just want to have enough strength to take care of myself and to be healthy. So I'm not really going into powerlifting like I was pursuing a couple of years ago. What base plates do you run? And will there be, I guess he's saying, will there be a day in the life vlog? The day in the life vlog, I could definitely do that, but my life is pretty boring. So I work, and then after I get off work, depending on what day it is that week, I'll either go to a match or I'll be planning to make a YouTube video and just planning like business stuff. I'm really trying to take Concrete Cowboy, not off of YouTube, but I want to expand beyond YouTube. I want it to be a company. So I've been working on some stuff in that field. So that's what I've really been tied up in recently. So really it's just work and then working on the Concrete Cowboy company and then trying to train and do matches. So, range time and stuff like that. And base plates, I run the stock base plates. I don't have any extensions yet, but I do plan on getting some because with some of these matches, I'm finding, obviously your skill goes way further than any piece of equipment that you can buy. But there have been instances where having to incorporate 1 or 2 extra reloads than everybody else because they're running base plates has cost me seconds. So that's something I'm probably gonna do just so I don't have to reload as much during my matches. Any suppressor stuff in the works? Yes, I can finally say for a fact, yes, there's suppressor stuff in the works. I'm not gonna give too many details, but later this year, I will have a suppressor. And it's not because I'm waiting on it. I was offered a suppressor and I wanted to wait a little while to do my research before getting the suppressor. So the suppressor is kind of just waiting on me at this point, and they're waiting on the green light to send it to me. So that's something that I have in the works, and that'll be later this year. What shoes do you wear as a daily driver and why? Actually, they're right here. So before I show you this, I should probably get the other pair. Okay, so a couple of years ago, my friend showed me these boots. These are Timberlands, and shoot, I forgot what model they are. They're just like a hiking boot. I think they're actually called Timberland hiking boots. This is not the shoe that I currently wear. This is the shoe that I wore for 4 years, every single day. Like I treated this boot like it was a normal shoe. And it actually, like it's still, like I could still wear it if I want. The only reason why I'm not wearing these anymore was because I got curious on another boot that I saw, and I'm going to show you that one, and that's my daily wear right now. But this is the Timberland hiking boot, and it's waterproof. I mean, it's gone through the ringer. I don't know if you guys can see that. But it still holds, like it's still waterproof. This shoe or this boot is completely okay. Like it works just fine. But the boot that I wear now is this company called Lems. This is a Lems, I believe it's a Boulder. It's a Boulder Summit, Lems Boulder Summit, and they're barefoot boots. So the toe area, the toe box is a little wider to kind of form around what your natural foot is shaped like, as opposed to narrowing out like most boots. And they're really comfortable. This one is waterproof as well. It's waterproof-ish. I believe it's waterproof up to like here. So like you can't really submerge your foot in water like you could with this one. And this one costs a lot more. I believe the Timberland is $89 or maybe it's $80 flat. And then this was $100 and something. I think it was $120. But yeah, this boot is holding up. I mean, I wear this every day now. And man, I have put it through the ringer and I am really impressed. And my favorite thing about this boot is it's tough enough to do all the stuff that I do outdoors, whether it be hiking, shooting, or just walking in some really awkward and tough terrain. And it still looks clean and formal enough to wear around town. I wear this boot with every single outfit. So what you see in my videos, I have this boot on. And then when I go to church, I have this boot on. When I go to functions, I have this boot on. Now, when I do go to functions and stuff like that, I'll probably wipe it down so I don't have as much Georgia clay on it and stuff like that. But yeah, that's the boot. Yeah, that's the boot that I wear every single day, and I love it. I got it in brown just because I feel like brown's a great color to have for, you know, most outfits. How often do you spend EDC dry fire practice versus competition dry fire practice? When I first got into taking dry fire seriously, it was mostly EDC dry fire, so it was from the appendix. And then now, majority of the time, it is competition dry fire, so it's outside the waistband. But what I will say, and this is just me personally, because of the way that I dry fire outside the waistband and how I'm learning to index my finger and where to get like index points on my gun on the way out of the holster, it has somehow translated over to my appendix draw. Now, I'm not saying it's one-to-one, but indexing the gun the same with my appendix draw has made my draw faster, even though I'm practicing dry fire outside the waistband more. So I would say I dry fire probably 90% in my competition rig, and then I do 10% here and there from my appendix. But I find that my appendix draw sometimes can be just as fast or faster due to the constant training. So I'm not saying that it's one-to-one, but I find that even though I'm training mostly with my belt rig, that my draw from appendix hasn't depreciated and has only really gotten faster due to that. What sparked your interest in firearms and firearms training? Yeah, so I have to remember that a lot of you guys are new, so some of these questions, if you've been around for a while, you probably heard this answer, but I didn't get into firearms off of the simple fact of it being interesting. It was during COVID. I live in Georgia. I was closer to Atlanta than I am now. In Atlanta, there were a lot of things happening during COVID, a lot of riots, a lot of dangerous things happening. And I felt that I needed a gun just to protect myself. And I would go shoot maybe once a month just so I could figure out how to use it. Well, not figure out how to use it, figure out how to shoot better, because I had already taken a class on how to use a firearm before I bought the gun. I don't know what happened. I think I was at a gun store and I saw like people were past the firing line and they were doing something and it was weird. So I watched through the window and they were like shooting around corners and reloading and all this stuff. So I asked, what is this? And the guy at the counter said, oh, that's a match or whatever. It was USPSA that night. And then I asked if I can go in and watch, and he said, you have eyes and ears? I grabbed my eyes and ears from my car, and I watched, and I was like, man, this looks really fun. Like, it looks super tactical and all this stuff. I didn't know what I didn't know, but, and then I eventually asked if I could, participate, I want to say 2 months later, because I went to 2 matches and didn't shoot. I just wanted to watch. And then, 2 months later, I went and shot my first match, and I got addicted. I was mainly a Glock guy at the time. I had sold my 365 and got Glocks. And then after that, I've switched over to M&Ps. But yeah, my fascination with guns came from the necessity to protect myself. It wasn't a natural kind of like interest in it. It was more of like, I need something to protect myself. Then the fascination came right after. Both are great guns, obviously, but why the Smith & Wesson over Glock? What would you say to help someone? You're right, they're both amazing guns and you can't go wrong with choosing either one. I would say I just like the recoil impulse of the Smith & Wesson, and I also like the ergonomics. So I like that my wrist isn't as canted forward when holding, as opposed to holding a Glock. It feels a little bit more natural. The grip angle is a lot better in that regard. In my opinion, I think Glocks and those style of guns, like, even Glock clones, the return to zero is unmatched. I feel like Glock's return to zero is very, very hard to beat. Training plays a huge role in that. If you put a Glock in my hands right now, I would still tell you the return to zero is better. I just feel more comfortable shooting the Smith & Wesson, and I feel like that goes a long way, because if you're shooting long strings of fire or you're training for a long time, the discomfort kind of settles in when I'm shooting a Glock. So really it was more of a comfort thing. If you want to like spice it up, have the same reliability, but just be a little different, M&P. Any interest in shotguns or long range content? No to the shotguns. I'm that one guy out of everybody in the room that just doesn't care about shotguns. I don't hate them. I just really, like, they don't fascinate me. I'm not drawn to them. I don't find them super interesting. I really don't care about shotguns, if I'm being honest. But long range, yes. I am really hoping to be able to get a bolt gun and a precision caliber so I can start doing long range stuff. Right now, most of the long range I do, which I don't really consider it long range, it's more of mid range, is scope carbine stuff. And I really like that because, you know, you can just follow up shots are pretty quick. But I want to get into precision shooting and I want to build a bolt gun. So that is something I'm really looking forward to doing. I don't know if that's something I'll get into this year, but definitely on the channel at some point, that'll be a whole series of me learning how to do long range stuff with a bolt gun. What is the next piece of gear you think you will get and why? There are two things that I know for a fact that I want to get, and they're really not that interesting. It's just something that I know is going to complement the way that I shoot, and it's going to be a new dump pouch. It's going to be the TXC holsters, or not holsters, mag carriers. So I want to get the rifle carrier and their 2 pistol carriers. I really like everything they're doing over there, and I like the Kydex and how you can cant them as opposed to the S-Tac mags that I have on my belt right now. And then the last thing is going to be a different med pouch. So I don't even know what brand is the one that I have, but I'm going to go for a Blue Force Gear med pack or meg pouch, whatever you want to call it. And those are going to be the 3 things that I get next. I know it's not super interesting, and like I said before, I'm really bad at trying new things, but in the gun space, I'm kind of slow to change things up. There is something new that I have in my inventory that you guys will hear about next month, but I'm going to leave that as a secret. Some of you guys already figured it out because it's in my videos. It's not like I'm hiding it. But you guys will hear about that next month. But in regards to guns and stuff like that, I don't have anything in the works just of yet. But if I was gonna buy something new that's gear related, would probably be a new scope. Because of the thing that I just got that I'm gonna tell you guys about next month, I want a new scope to complement a project that I'm going to be working on at some point this year. Thoughts on the ACE VR system for training? Yeah, I see a lot of people using it, and honestly, I have nothing against it. If you ask me a preferred method of dry fire, I would always tell you to use your real gun, unloaded, and use things in your house. You can go and print out C-zone targets, or you can print out different types of targets and tape them up to your walls. I find that to be the most effective because you're actually weapon handling and using weapon manipulations with the firearm you have. I really don't like, and I'm not hating on this, I just find that a lot of people, when they go to like the Mantis stuff, they start getting more focused on the results as opposed to the process. And if you don't understand the process of your shooting or what went wrong, the result really doesn't matter. Like, you need to understand the process, because if I do something wrong, if I look on a piece of paper and I have a Charlie as opposed to an Alpha, if I don't know how I got that Charlie, then that Charlie's just gonna keep happening. So with the Mantis, since it's so result focused, I find a lot of people focusing on the wrong things. But when it comes to the VR system, because you're actually playing the game of actual shooting, I think it is helping people, and I think it is a more fun way than the basic, you know, draw in your room and this and that, because that way you can switch up your terrain, you can switch up your target arrays, all that stuff. What's a good concealed carry belt? My favorite belt by far, oh, actually I have it right here, Core Essentials. I've tried other belts, and I'm not gonna name them because I don't want people thinking that I hate them, but this by far is my favorite belt. I can't say enough good things about this belt. I just like how sturdy it is. I like the ratchet system on it, and I like that you're not restricted to like a certain setting when you're operating throughout the day. Sometimes, and I know this sounds crazy, but sometimes I'll be sitting in my car, right? So you loosen it for that, and then you stand back up to go into Walmart. So I tighten it back up for that. And then sometimes you just go out to eat and you just feel like, you know, your belly's full and you just want to, you know how people unbutton their pants? You don't have to do that with this belt. You can just literally loosen it, you know, to accommodate the extra weight you just gained. So I really love Core Essential belts. Yeah, that's the belt I've been running, and I really have no intentions on switching because it just works so well. And the cool thing about Core Essential, like you saw the one that I have, that's more of like an everyday belt, but you can also buy like ones that look like leather. You have ones that you can use to dress up in. So you can get all these different types of belts that have the same functionality and same sturdiness. So I'm a huge Core Essentials guy. What are some upgrades to make when switching to an M&P? I mean, the M&P, honestly, is pretty good by itself. The new 2.0 trigger is pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. Now, I do run the Apex trigger on the two MMPs I shoot the most. This one has the classic hinge trigger, which I'm going to be changing today. But yeah, the Apex trigger is something you can do. And then if you're not really competing on a regular basis, and maybe you compete once in a while, so you'll just do like a local match, I'd also say get a magwell. Reloads with how the magwell is right now is really hard to do, and it takes a lot of training. I've gotten a lot better with my reloads due to dry fire. But if I didn't really consider doing matches and stuff like that, but if I wasn't doing matches on a regular basis, I'd probably throw a magwell on there. But I just keep it off just because if I decide to shoot USPSA, IDPA, and PCSL, I'm in carry optics for 2 of those. And then for PCSL, I'm still in competition, so I honestly could just throw it on there. But if I want to stay practical, I wouldn't be able to run a magwell. But I would say trigger, yeah, magwell, that's really it. The gun is fine just how it is. I've tried different spring rates as well, like a different recoil springs, and I even tried a tungsten guide rod. It really didn't do anything. Like I didn't feel a difference, and I didn't see a change in my performance. So the recoil spring and the guide rod that it already has is good enough. And I will say this: the more you shoot the gun, the smoother it feels. Because when I shoot this one has maybe 50 rounds through it. My M&P that I carry, which is all the way over there, and then this M&P, which I use for competitions, they feel 10 times better than this one. And it's only because I have thousands and thousands of rounds through them. So probably the best upgrade is just shooting it a bunch. Any advice of someone looking to start their own social media platform and brand? So I've been asked this a few times, and it's really hard to give advice on this. Not because, like, obviously, there's gear and, your scheduling and what you have time for and all that. But I really want people to understand, you have to bring yourself to the table. I find a lot of new people try to be like other YouTubers or other gun tubers. Like, you're not really sticking out. And I'm not saying you have to do anything crazy to stick out, but stay true to yourself, right? The cool thing is, if you stay yourself and you brand yourself, then your audience will become close to you. It'll become a more meaningful relationship with your audience. Yeah, bring yourself to the table and try to stay true to yourself. I feel like that goes a long way, as opposed to trying to be somebody else in order to get views. Another thing is being consistent. Now, being consistent for you might be different than being consistent for me. So 1 video a month, if you can do that consistently, that's going to be way better than doing 3 videos 1 week, 1 video the following week, and then not posting for 3 months. Like, you're going to burn yourself out. Do what you think you can do. So consistency, be yourself, and then put a little thought into it. I'm not saying you have to do everything that I do, where I have multiple angles and I'm doing, close-up shots and faraway shots and then shots of matches. You don't have to do all that. That's just the videographer in me. I just want to do that because I feel like it makes it more interesting to watch. Because if I don't want to watch it, then I know you guys aren't going to watch it. So just putting some thoughts in your videos. Maybe think about your topic for a day, and then maybe write down some bullet points you want to hit, just so you're organized when you talk in front of the camera. Do you have a relationship with God? How do you plan on getting it stronger if you do? Yes, I have a relationship with God. So I guess I'll share my testimony a little bit. I've always been a Christian. I grew up in a Christian household. My parents always made me go to church, even as a kid. When you go to church every single week, you get to a point where you're like, I don't really want to go to church, but it's like my parents make me, yada, yada, yada. So I was a Christian. I believed in God. And then I want to say around college, I stopped going to church, not because I stopped believing. I just didn't want to go to church anymore. And I still believed in God, but I was just doing my own thing. And then I wanted to say about 2 years ago, I met my girlfriend, and she wasn't religious at all. And we started dating, and I want to say about maybe 6 months into our relationship, she randomly told me she wanted to go to church. And I said, why? And she's like, I don't know. I just want to try it, just see what it's like. And we went to church, and she loved it. And then she kept wanting to go back. And I was down for it. I was like, I'll go to church. So we started going to church again. I always say I'm a backseat Christian, or I was a backseat Christian. I would be, like when you go to a football game, you have the stadium, you have like the super mega fans in the front, and then people that are just kind of chilling at the game in the back. They're both supporting the team, but like the guys down there at the front, they paint their chest, they got the letters on them, they got all kinds of props holding up. The people in the back, they're still, cheering here and there, but they're kind of just chilling, enjoying the game. I was in the back, And my girlfriend started in the back, and then she got to the front within like 2 months. And when I saw that, it was like eye-opening to me. It's like, how come somebody who just found their faith like a month ago is up there participating in all these events, reading scripture every day, praying, trying to find new ways to represent Jesus and God in a holy way in an earthly manner. And I've been a Christian my entire life, and I'm still over here in the back of the bleachers. So after I saw that, I like gradually just started moving to the front, like within a matter of like 3 months. And now I feel like my relationship with him is a lot stronger. I go to a weekly men's small group, which is actually tonight. Yeah, I still have time. It's actually tonight. That has completely changed my life. Talking to God every single day has changed my life. And then reading the scripture on a daily, some days I do mess up and I don't read it, but on a daily and weekly basis has really transformed my heart, my mindset, and I feel like my overall well-being. I just feel like we all inherently have a hole in our heart that only he can fill. And once he starts filling it, it's like, I don't know, like I just wake up in a better mood. I just feel stronger. I feel more whole. And because of that, you know, I'm really trying to find ways to incorporate my faith into my channel a little bit more. One inspiration is Barrel and Hatchet. He does I'm pretty sure it's a weekly Bible study on his channel, but I want to incorporate something like that into my channel. I'm taking small steps because I'm still trying to figure it out. And one step I have taken, which was in the last video, was the first time I did it, is leaving a scripture at the end. So if you watch my videos all the way to the end, there will be a different scripture at the end. It's only been in one video so far, but going forward, there will be a new scripture at the end. Something that I feel like I need to share with you guys that week. How can people in restricted states train more effectively given limited ammo and firearms? Honestly, the only thing you can do is dry fire. Grab what you can, whatever guns you can and whatever magazine capacity that you can. Train with that as much as you can live fire. Substitute that limitation with dry fire. I'll tell you right now, I go to the range once a week. Like, I know people think I go more than that, but I really only go to the range once a week. I dry fire. I try to dry fire every day. Yesterday I didn't, but today I will as soon as I put this camera away. And I go to a match once a week. And the dry fire, I'm going to tell you every single time, the dry fire overall, I feel like it does more to progress my shooting ability than just the live fire sessions. Now, the live fire sessions are very important, but the dry fire, it helps you retain whatever you may have learned in live fire. And then also in dry fire, you can experiment with your grip, presentations, draws and stuff like that, and see how it translates over to live fire. So the dry fire, I want to say, is 60% of my overall development, and then the live fire is that other 40% that is necessary. It's not, I know I said 60-40%, but it's not less than the dry fire. It's just I don't have to do it as much to get greater results. I still have to do it because you still need to learn how to, you know, control your recoil impulse and not losing your grip over a long string of fire and stuff like that, and to test your vision. But in dry fire, you can really hone in on specific skills and practice it over and over and over again without spending thousands of dollars on ammo. Have you thought about getting a suppressor, and if so, which one? Yeah, so earlier in the video, I said I have a suppressor kind of waiting on me. So yes, I'm gonna get a suppressor. I'm not gonna say which one because it's gonna give away some other things that I'm doing right now on the channel, but you guys will see it pretty soon. I wanna say before the end of summer, I will have a suppressor and it'll be tested and run through the paces on the channel. Saw you practicing rope climbs. Tactical games confirmed? Yeah, so I went to a Green Beret challenge with Osprey Shooting Solutions, and it was a two-man competition. So it was you and somebody else. You were competing against other teams of two, and we finished third. It was a really fun match, and it was very physical. It was funny. Like the first two stages, Tim, which you guys have seen him on the channel, he was shooting really well. I was shooting like crap. Then the second two stages, I was shooting really well, and then he was shooting like crap. So like we balance each other out, and I think that's really cool that like him and I've been shooting with Tim for a very long time, and we really push each other, and it feels like we're both getting really good at shooting around at the same pace. But Tim is definitely more consistent than I am. Like I will see myself fluctuate throughout matches, but he seems to be kind of like staying in the same placings and the same score, like scoring kind of the same throughout all his matches. So he's more consistent than I am, which I am working on. Tactical games is something I will give a shot at. I will give it a try. But right now, my main focus is running guns. After doing the running gun at Riverbend, I plan on doing another one in Georgia. And then I also want to try to do a running gun in South Carolina at Sawmill. So those are the two matches, physically demanding matches, that I want to really hone in on. And then tactical games, I'll probably give that a shot as well at some point. What motivated you into competitive shooting? Honestly, it was just fun. Like, I saw a match, I wanted to try it. I had fun after I shot my first match, and then after that, I was like, I want to keep doing this. Before, I was only doing one match a month because it was just, fun. But then I really started enjoying it, and then it became like I kind of want to get better at this. So now I really push myself. I do about 2 to 3 matches a month now, and then I'll try to do one outdoor match a month if my schedule allows. Sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, I do overall 2 to 3 matches a month. And it's really just for the fun of it. There's really no other like alternative motive. It's not that I want to be the best in the world or anything like that. I just want to be competitive. And because there is no defined line of what competitive is, that line keeps moving, that goalpost keeps moving further and further out. So I just want to get better and be the best shooter I can be, allotted the time that I put into it and the schedule that I have. What has been the most significant improvement you have seen in your shooting skill? I was going through some old footage the other day, and I've noticed that my draw has sped up tremendously. And then my grip has gotten a lot better. I've seen that my vision has improved too. My draw, like when I watch some of my older videos, drawing from outside the waistband, even appendix, was very calculated. And now it's more of like, I'm not saying I just feel, but like it's very consistent. I know if I have my hand in a certain place, and then when I start my draw, I move both hands and get them to where where they need to be, then everything else will just come together. And it's very consistent, and it's very quick, and it's one fluid motion. I do kind of like a scoop draw, so I don't really, come up, down, and then back up. I try to just everything come up at the same time. So my draw is definitely sped up because of that. And then my grip, I rarely have to think about my grip anymore. It's still something that I train because I don't want to lose that ability, but I don't really have to think about it anymore. Before, my grip was always changing and I was throwing my shots, but now it's pretty solid. But that's only because I am practicing my grip almost every day in dry fire. So I know I keep saying it, but dry fire is king. Definitely do it as often as you can. It could be for 5 minutes every day or 15 minutes every day, but just make sure you're touching your gun every day, and it'll help keep you more consistent across the board. Would you mind sharing/recommending different ranges in the state of Georgia? So this is kind of hard because the whole state has ranges all over the place. It depends on where you live. Indoor ranges are everywhere. I can't really recommend an indoor range because, again, it depends on where you live. Outdoor ranges, there's some in Athens. There's some in Waverly. I think there's one, I forgot what, it's called like Sybil, maybe? Might be Sybil. That's an outdoor range that I know of. And then, like I said, there's one in Athens. And then I think there's one right on the Alabama border, I believe. But like the ranges that I go to, they're private, so I can't really recommend them because you have to be a member to go there and have permission to be there. But the ones that don't require permission and stuff like that, the one I went to was Strong Point. I'll say that. It was down in Waverly. That was the one I went to once or twice a month. And they have a really nice facility. They have a ton of bays where you can go and shoot and move around. And if it's really busy, you'll get a 2-hour limit on the shooting range, like the outdoor shooting range area, your own bay. But if they're not busy, you can shoot as long as you want. You just pay for a day pass, and then you can go to the pistol bays, you can go to the rifle bays, and you can go to the long range bay. So can you do a quick overview of holdovers, AR, and pistol? Okay, yeah, so I don't know if I can really demonstrate this. Maybe I will use my belt here to demonstrate it. So let's pretend that the buckle right here is your gun. When you shoot a gun, the bullet doesn't just go straight indefinitely. Bullets are affected by gravity just like everything else on this planet. So you fire a bullet, I'll turn it this way. You fire a bullet and it's eventually going to curve down. So if you have a 0, let's pretend right here is a 15-yard 0. If I shoot my gun and line my dot up so that my impacts are hitting right here, basically what I'm doing is firing my gun, the bullet's down here and it's traveling up to this 0 point. So this is extreme. I'm not saying this is what the bullet actually looks like, but in an extreme manner, you shoot your gun, it goes up until it hits where you zeroed at. After that 0, it's going to continue to go down in an arc. I'm not saying it's going to bend right at this point. Sometimes it goes a little further before it bends down. And that's where you're going to start getting into holdovers. So if I aim at 15 yards, right, and the velocity of my pistol allows it to keep going up. So like, oh man, it's kind of hard to explain. Pretty much what I'm saying is I shoot my gun, it goes and hits my 0. It may continue up before it drops again, or if the 0 is far enough away, it might hit your 0 and then drop. So for me, which I'm about to change my 0, but right now I run a 12-yard 0. I shoot, it hits my 0, and then it continues up a little bit further before it drops. So pretty much at further distances, around 25 to 30 yards, when I'm aiming at something, because the arc is still going up past my 0 distance, I actually have to aim down, which is something a lot of people don't train enough. But I will literally aim, if my target is right here, I will aim right here to get a center impact. If this is 30 yards or if it's 35 yards. Now, if it's 50 yards, I might actually have to aim a little further up so it drops on it because the distance is so much further. I'm not sure if that makes any sense, but that's the same thing with ARs. Just remember your bullet doesn't just go straight, it does have an arc to it. And depending on where you are on that arc will depend on if you have to hold over or hold under. That's a very rough explanation, and I don't even know if I did that clearly or coherently. That's actually a really good idea for a video. So maybe I'll make like a full-length video on that topic so I can articulate it a lot better and have more, examples and diagrams you can see so you can comprehend that a little bit better. New video on the way for that build you spray painted? Yes. Yes, and that's all I'm gonna say. Are we going to see any fitness-related content in the videos? I get asked that all the time, and I honestly had to just toughen up and make one. When I go to the gym, I'm in such a different state. Like it's kind of like a therapeutic time for me where I just go in and I just work out and I leave. It's kind of like me time. So it's hard for me to just pull my camera out because when I get pulled out of that mindset of like, moving weight and pushing myself to my limits, it's kind of hard to get back into it. But enough of you guys have asked about fitness and stuff like that. So I just need to just stop being a baby, grab a friend and have them record me and maybe just do a quick video in the gym. Current weight and workout routine. So yeah, I did my workout routine earlier, but my weight, I weighed in at 198, but usually I bounce. So last week I was 194, but I ate like crap the last 3 days because I was just having fun and just living life to the fullest. So my scale said 198 after I ate breakfast today. I probably should have weighed myself before breakfast. But yeah, I'm usually, if I had to guess right now, I'm 195. Yeah, 195, 196. But on a good day, if I'm actually eating right and drinking enough water, I'm 194. That's usually where I'm at. What would you replace your M&P with? If we're talking just a gun in general, just for fun, probably a Bull Armory EDC. I'm a huge fan of Bull Armory and I really want to get one of their guns. I just love what they're doing over there. And a huge influence that kind of put me on to Bull Armory was Nightwood Guns. If you guys don't know who that is, go check out that channel, Nightwood Guns. The stellar videos, amazing gun reviews. He tried Bull Armory, and then after he made a couple of videos about it, I did my research and I watched a ton of other YouTubers talking about Bull Armory, and the EDC would probably be my replacement for one of these. But if I was gonna get something that I wanted to replace and not have to maintain as well, I'm not saying the Bull Armory isn't reliable or anything like that, but more practical, I would probably do a Glock 17 or a Glock 47, whichever one is available to me at the time, or maybe a Glock 45. I had the Glock 45 and I really enjoyed that. So if I had to replace this, yeah, probably a Glock 45 or a Bull Armory EDC. Medical, I gotta get better at my medical stuff. I'm not really good with medical. I mean, I know basic things, but I don't know enough for like packing a wound and stuff like that. I need to learn all that stuff. And This weekend, there's actually Stop the Bleed class available, but I can't go to that because I made different obligations for maybe networking and connecting with some other companies. So that's something that I think is important to help grow the channel. So I'm going to be at an event at the same time as that Stop the Bleed class is going on. Do you have a fiance? Not yet. And that was my girlfriend that wrote that, just so we're clear. No one's hitting on me or anything like that. That was my girlfriend being silly. Are you based in Georgia? Yep, I am in Georgia. And I'm going to be moving this year. I'm going to be in Georgia still, but I'm moving to a different city in Georgia. So, but right now I've only lived in 2 cities, well, technically 3 cities, but I'm moving to the 4th city this year. What editing software do you use and what camera? I use Adobe Premiere Pro. I find that to be the most powerful and most dynamic thing to use. And I mainly, I'm not saying it's the best program out there. It's just the one that I understand the most because I've been using that ever since I had a videography company. So that's the one I go with. And I've actually seen people produce full-on movies with Adobe Premiere. It's very powerful. And then my camera, which other videographers, they're blown away when I say this. My camera is it might be 11 years old now. I think it came out in 2014. It's a Lumix or Panasonic Lumix GH5. It's a super old camera. It was $2,000 when I bought it. I think they go for $1,000 now. I could be wrong on that, but it is nothing new. It's super old. And man, if you saw my camera right now, I'm looking at it, it's beat up. Parts are hanging off of it. But I definitely need to invest in a new one, but it's still working. It's going hard now. And like I always say, when it comes to training, it's the skill, not the gear. And for me, that's very true. It's me that's making my content look a lot better than it should be on a camera that still produces good stuff, but it's way behind the times when it comes to cameras that are out now. What setup do you use to record your POV? I might have the camera with me. So this was a new purchase that I got this year because I felt like it would be useful for the running gun, because for the running gun, I can't set up a tripod and set up my shot. I'm literally running through the woods getting the shots. So I bought a DJI Osmo Action 4. It's not the newest one. I guess you guys can see right there. It's not the newest one, but it was still pretty expensive. I think it was like $200. And this thing, I have it on a head strap or a headband that I wear. And this thing shoots. I mean, it looks amazing. Even now when I look at the footage, I'm like, man, that footage is comparable to my camera. And it's just a small little thing like this. So this is what I use for POVs. And that's what you guys saw when I shot my running gun video. And I'm probably going to use it in other videos as well, just to change up the dynamic of the footage. What video are you most proud of that you have made? By far, it's the community video. The community video, I really enjoyed it because you guys got to hear from other shooters as opposed to just me. Obviously, I run the channel. You're going to hear my voice all day long, every week. But the fact that you guys got to hear and get insights from other shooters. Now, I want you guys to understand the people in that video, like Tim, great shooter. You guys have seen him before. Will, an amazing shooter. Like, these guys are not just average shooters. Those guys are really good shooters. And then David, I mean, I don't even know how to express the skills that he has. Like, I mean, every time I see David shoot, it's like he does it so flawlessly. He is so fast. He's definitely somebody that I'm chasing after, and it's helped me become a better shooter, shooting with him on almost a weekly basis. So definitely the community video, because I feel like a lot of us love to shoot guns, and the only thing that can make shooting guns better is shooting guns with your friends. Tips for getting into photography and videography. So a lot of people get very surprised when I say this because I never went to school for videography. I actually had, I'm just gonna hold this up as an example. My first camera was a very old GoPro. It was like the GoPro Hero Plus, like the very first GoPro. And I was recording videos on that just with my friends for fun. Like us playing soccer, going on hikes and stuff like that. And then I progressed into buying more expensive gear along the way. But I learned everything off of YouTube. I'm being so serious. I learned everything that you see on YouTube. I did not pay a single dime to learn how to do videography and photography. Cheapest but most valuable piece of kit. Honestly, it would probably be my earplugs that I bought. I bought a huge case of earplugs, and I double down when I shoot now because it's just hearing protection. But because I bought a huge bundle for not that much, I can't remember how much it was. It really wasn't that much. I just put them in like random compartments in my bags. I have some in my car. I have them all over the place. And sometimes when I get to the range, I'll find that I might have left my ear pro. So I'll just go to my car and I'll find like one or two little things of like ear foamies. So probably that, because it saved my life so many times. Well, not saved my life, but it saved me from not having to have a range day, because I already drove all the way out to the range just to have the foamies. And then it's just, you know, it's good to double down if you're shooting indoors, especially when people have breaks like I do. So yeah, I would say the 3M foamies. How do I get quality reps out of dry fire? I feel like my dry fire can have bad habits without me knowing. Yeah, so that was something that I did for a long time. I was developing bad habits, but what you need to do is, like, instead of just doing rep after rep after rep, because you start getting sloppy when you just do something over and over and over again, do a rep and, like, just for a second, I'm not saying, you know, for 5 minutes, think about what you just did, but like for a couple of seconds, think like, how did that feel? Was my grip good? Were my eyes still on the target when the dot came up, or did I focus on the dot? Were my hands shaking? Was I moving my upper body excessively, causing me to not see my dot when it came up? Like little things like that I think about in between reps. Like I'll literally draw, then after I do it, I'll holster, and I'll just think for like maybe 2 seconds, like, okay, yeah, my draw wasn't that good. I didn't index well. I'll go again. Okay, my vision wasn't good, but my index was better and my grip was good. So let me focus on that vision. I'll do it. Boom. That was a good rep. Boom. That was a good rep. Boom. Man, my grip was off that time. All right. Do the same thing, and then I'll run through the checklist again. All right, make sure I'm still visually focused, make sure I'm indexing right, and then now I gotta focus on my grip. And that's how I go about my dry fire. It's not just endless repetitions just to say I dry fired that day. It's analyzing what I'm doing and trying to understand and get something from every single rep, so that overall, when I'm drawing, I'm usually doing the same thing right consistently. So just analysis and thinking in between reps is what I would advise. What preventative maintenance do you do on your M&Ps? I just oil them. I literally just oil my guns. Like that's literally it. I don't do anything special. How often do you dry fire? I try to dry fire every single day, but usually, if I'm being realistic, probably 4 times a week, 4 to 5 times a week. But there are weeks where I do get it in every single day, but on the low end, 4, on average 5-ish times a week. What is your favorite exercise for each muscle group? So for chest, I really like incline bench press. For shoulders, I really like lateral raises, and well, I guess that's lats, right? For shoulders, I also like just shoulder presses. Arms, I used to really like concentrated curls, but really I'm really liking barbell curls. Like I really feel like I get like a good contraction all the way up, and then I go really slow on the way down. My reps are really slow for every workout I'm doing, so I'm putting my muscles in as much stress as possible for as long as possible, and that's where I've seen the most muscle growth. For back, I would say bent over rows, barbell rows, and for legs, I really do like leg press, but I stopped doing squats for a long time, but now I'm really enjoying squats again. Like I really feel like I get a lot out of it because I'm making sure my form is right. When I was doing squats and my form was wrong, I really hated it because I felt like I was hurting myself. But now that I've not perfected, but I've definitely improved in my form with squats, I'm thinking that's my favorite exercise for legs. I know that there are a lot of muscles in legs, but I'm just gonna sum it up and say squats. What do you use to zero in your LPVO at 100 yards? So there's, I think it's called Casey Birchwood. I think you can buy them off of Amazon. It's this giant target. Oh, it's in my car right now. It's a giant sticker target that I use. And when you hit them, they are reactive. So like once you hit them, it'll leave like a green ring of where your bullet hit. So that's what I use to zero at 100 yards, just so I can see all the way back at 100 yards what I'm hitting and where I'm hitting and where my groups are landing. What has been your biggest hurdle being a gun tuber? Having to have conversations with people that, I don't want to say I know everything, but there are certainly some things that I feel like I'm very qualified to talk about. And then, you know, on YouTube, people don't know you personally. They don't know every aspect about you, so I don't fault them for that. But sometimes people will comment saying, you know, something stupid or this and that won't work, or you're dumb for trying this or doing it this way. And it's like, well, have you thoroughly tested that theory or what you're suggesting? Because I've been doing that thing for 5 months, and I find that it's consistent and it works every single time. And then the people around me agree that shoot on a regular basis. So I'm not saying I'm the best person out there to give advice out, but sometimes I do know what I'm talking about, and you have to just, deal with the comments. And I have a really cool rule that has really helped me with not having to stress about comments, because a lot of my friends tell me they don't know how I do what I'm doing when all the comments, like when you read comments, there's a lot of negative stuff that can be in there. And I tell them my rule is I respond to comments the first 24 hours the video is up. After that 24 hours, I don't go back to that comment section of that video. And the reason being, who do you think is more likely to watch your video in the first 24 hours? It's you guys, the people that actually care, that actually want to be a part of this community. And if you do have something, I wouldn't even say negative, but you want to critique something, it's usually coming from a place of like, hey, I think you're messing up here. I want you not to make that mistake again. Here's what I've experienced. Maybe you should try it out. Maybe you can learn from this. I'll take that all day long because I don't know everything. But like, if you go to a video that you posted a month ago, you're going to see some comments, because, random people come across your videos. You're going to see some comments that are just crazy. So I think that rule that I made for myself, it's exclusively for you guys, so I can talk to you guys when you do see my videos. And then, yeah, that's probably the hardest part about being a gun tuber, is having conversations with people that you'll never meet and that think that they know everything, I guess. What are some things you would change in your training routine after the 5K running gun? My intensity with my running. So my 4-mile time is around 44 minutes, and I'm running around 10 to 11 minutes per mile. Now, I'm running at a pace that I can stay consistent at, but I'm finding that I haven't really improved on that time, and I've been running 4 miles twice a week for about 3 months now. So my changing, like things that I'm changing is my intensity. So I'm pushing myself to run faster every single week, whether it be like, I'm not, trying to knock off 2 minutes every single week, but I'm trying to at least knock off a couple of seconds every single week. And then with my weight training, I'm trying to incorporate more functional weight training. So I still do my normal workouts that I explained earlier in the video, but then sometimes on leg day, I'll do walking lunges so that I'm transitioning from one muscle group to another and like get used to that motion. Because when I was doing the running gun, all that heavy lifting stuff was easy. It was getting to and like moving while having weight on me that kind of put a toll on me. So I want to get better at moving with weight. And then one thing I'm going to do is hopefully I can buy a plate carrier and once a week go on a very long walk or a ruck with it on, just so I can get used to carrying extra weight while moving my body. Could we get a day in the life video? Yeah, I'll definitely do that. My schedule right now, it would actually be really easy to do, but I want to move first because I plan on moving this year. And then I feel like once I move, I will have a permanent camera person and they will be able to help me with a day in the life video. Congrats. I would like to ask someone who started with a budget AR, what are 4 to 5 internal upgrades that you would do first to bring the rifle up to par with the Zion or something? Oh, I guess I didn't open up that part. Pretty much 4 or 5 upgrades I would do to the rifle. One of the big things is trigger. I think the trigger can completely change how your rifle feels. Then I would change your buffer system. If it's not ejecting at 3 or 4 o'clock, I would definitely change your buffer weight and how heavy your spring is so you're getting good ejections. I would probably also change your stock because a lot of these budget rifles come with some really weird stocks. So I really like Magpul and I also like B5. I prefer Magpul over B5 for just running gun kind of stuff, but then I prefer the B5 for like getting down and shooting long range and shooting mid range and stuff like that. And then I think the last one is kind of just subjective to like how you feel with gripping your gun, but the grip, the pistol grip is something that I would change. I've changed all my pistol grips to a B5 system pistol grip because it's something that the Zion came with it, but with another rifle that I have, I changed it to the B5 just because it's what I prefer. It's what I'm used to, and I want to keep things kind of streamlined throughout all my platforms. So trigger, buffer weight and buffer, pistol grip, and stock. Other than that, you don't really need to change anything else. I mean, the gun's just going to run like any other AR. It's the training that's going to make a difference. This is your sign to buy a plate carrier. Yes, it is. I am definitely overdue. I wanted to buy a plate carrier earlier this year, but then my funds had to go somewhere else. So now I'm working on that being something that I buy in the near future. There are some other things I got to take care of, but I think I'll be able to get a plate carrier hopefully in the next 3 months. That's the goal. What are my thoughts on the ACOG? I don't have any personal experience with it, so I can't say, like what I'm about to say, just take it with a grain of salt. But from what I understand about the ACOG, with it being a 3X, I don't know if they have different powers, but I just don't think it's as relevant in today's world when there are so many other modern and more lucrative options out there. Like LPVOs, there are some really good ones that are very durable. Even just red dots with a magnifier, there are some really durable options. And being able to choose your magnification is something that's very important to me. Having to have, a fixed prism scope and then putting a dot on top of that that's going to take away your cheek weld, I just don't see that's optimal. And I hear that the eye box is very, very tight with ACOG. So again, I don't have any personal experience with it. I've just kind of been watching videos, T-Rex Arms and some other YouTubers that will occasionally run an ACOG. And like the downsides just seem way too big for me to ignore. And I don't ever see myself really giving that optic. I mean, I'll give it a chance, but I don't see that being something that I want to run, just given there are so many other better options out there today. Opinion on SIG, not exactly the 320. Everyone hates on SIG strictly for that, and some is warranted, but the 365 is unmatched in the CCW world, and the MCX system is amazing. Would you own either? I actually had a 365 XL. I liked it a lot. Like, it ran really well. The only thing I really didn't like about it was that it rusted so fast. I remember I bought it, I want to say it was at the beginning of the year, so it was like February or maybe March. And then that summer, it was the first summer I was carrying it every single day. I mean, I was getting rust everywhere because I was sweating. Now, my other guns have a little bit of rust on them. I'm not gonna lie, they do. But the amount of rust I had on a 365 XL, I've never experienced that with any other gun. Like, that was just so crazy to me. Obviously, we all know what's going on with the 320. I'm not gonna bash people that run the 320. The only people that I'm having an issue with right now is SIG themselves. And it's not because of the 320 platform itself, it's the way that they're responding to the controversy. That's something that's really kind of rubbing me the wrong way. I don't know enough about the 320. Like, I'm seeing videos of them going off, and I'm seeing them going off without people touching them. And, at one point, SIG did address that a certain model was doing that, and then they had a recall, and now they're saying that, the newer models don't do that. The older models are still doing that because you never sent it in, and I don't know, it's a weird dynamic between them and their customer base. Yeah, I just don't like the way they're responding with the whole Instagram thing. Like, it doesn't seem like they're trying to solve and, take care of the problem and help their customers. They kind of went on offense and attacked their own audience. Now, they were talking about people outside of the SIG audience as well. That's probably who they were primarily, shooting their shot at. But calling people names and stuff like that own your gun or that use your gun, like, I don't see that being, advantageous for your company's image. So I have a problem with the way SIG's responding, but I'm not gonna hate on anybody for owning a SIG. It's just, if you have a 320, I'm gonna be a little cautious on how close I stand next to you. That's just the reality of it. There's just too much evidence out there. I don't know if you have a newer model or older model. It's just, it is what it is. And if you are denying that, then that's a whole different issue that needs to be addressed. But if there were any sort of conflict in the world involving the US, like World War III, would you serve or hold and defend the country/community within the states? Offense versus defense. Fun story, I actually wanted to join the military when I was younger. My mom talked me out of it. She also made a good point of you're really young, just explore and see if there's anything else you want to do before you do that. And I did, and I decided, later on that I didn't want to do it. But I have no problems with serving. If I had to choose between going out and defending, I'd probably defend, because I have a lot of people that I love here. We do need people going on the offense, but at the same time, we need very skilled people on the defense. So, and I feel like I fall into that category. So yeah, I think I would stay on the defensive side of things, not because I'm afraid or anything, but if there's going to be a fight, right, depending on offense or defense, you're going to be in the fight. So I think I want to stay on the defensive side of things, just because I don't have the training right now to be effective on the offensive front. Like, I don't know tactics. I'm just getting into comms. Like, there's a lot of things I'd have to learn really, really quick to go be on offense. But on defense, you still need to learn tactics, But at the same time, like, there are a lot of things that could be learned quicker on the defensive front. I don't know if that makes any sense, but as a civilian, I feel like I'd be more effective on the defense than offense. But if push came to shove, I'd be okay with going on offense. I just have to learn more tactics and stuff like that. But yeah, that is all the questions that you guys have for me today. Again, I am really, really honored and really, really blessed that you guys have stuck around this long to see what kind of content I'm going to be putting out and to engage in conversations with me. I literally would not be anywhere without you guys. Like, the only reason why a company would email me, or the only reason why companies have reached out to me so that I can do some projects on the side, is because of you guys. You know, they like that you guys are so engaging. They like that you guys leave comments and have some pretty cool conversations down there, and that we encourage discussions on this channel. So I really want you guys to understand that I am very, very grateful for y'all. Like, I know this sounds very cliche. I know I don't really talk like this on my channel a lot, but I feel like a lot of YouTubers, they don't understand that their success is coming from their viewers. You guys are enabling me to pursue this passion project, which is this channel and the company that I'm trying to work on. You guys are the reason for that. And I don't ever want to take that for granted, because no one has to be here. None of you have to like my videos. None of you guys have to watch my videos, but you guys are doing it because you either want to show support and you believe in what I'm trying to do here on the channel. Yeah, that's all I have for today. I really hope you guys enjoyed this week's video. I know it's different. It's not a lot of shooting. It's not a lot of that, but I always want to make sure every 10K I'm giving back to you guys, and that there's going to be a Q&A video where you guys have the opportunity to ask me questions. So you know what? I'm going to show you guys something real quick. You guys will get a sneak peek at the merch that I am dropping. I mean, I've probably made a few posts on this on Instagram already, but I have a hoodie coming out, and this is going to be a very limited stock. So this is the Concrete Cowboy hoodie, and on the back, we have Save the Trees. And if you know, you know. But right, that's the back design for this. And these are some really quality hoodies. I know people say that because it's something that they're going to be selling, but I did my research. I found a Christian-based company that I could work with. They executed the artwork exactly how I wanted it to. I've been testing, so I got one hoodie for myself, obviously. I've been testing it. I've been wearing it in the cold, heat. I've washed it a few times. It's holding up. It's definitely a hoodie I'm really excited to drop, and I'm planning on dropping it hopefully right before summer. So maybe the end of this month, maybe mid next month. I don't have an exact date right now, but I do have the hoodies, and it's gonna be a very limited stock because we're going into the warmer seasons, and I am gonna have another piece of merch. But I don't think this hoodie is not gonna be reoccurring. It's a one of one. Well, when I say one of one, I have an inventory of them, but once they're all gone, I'm not making this hoodie again, and I'm really excited about it. So definitely keep an eye out. If you don't follow me, definitely go in the description, look for my Instagram handle, and you'll probably see more posts about this. But yeah, I'm really excited about this hoodie, and I can't wait for some of y'all to have it and to rep it. But that's all I have for you guys today. As always, I'll catch you guys in the next one.